Good morning, everyone. It's Mary Jo Snyder from MJ Shady Inkers. Welcome to my Facebook group and my Sunday Live with MJ. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. I have an amazing technique to share with all of you. And if you've never heard of it, it's called the Bokeh Technique. It's actually an amazing photography technique too with lighting. Which I've never managed, I don't think, to capture in a photo, but I'm excited to share it with you on paper. Now, this is a technique that I have been wanting to try for a very long time, and I was very intimidated by it, but I found an amazing video, and I did not note who that individual was, but I will find that video. I have it saved on Pinterest. I will find that video and I will make note of it in the description of my video after I'm done, so you have it for the replay if ever you want to go and check out her work. She is not a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. She is another crafter with a different product. However, I love the technique and I loved how she simplified being able to create this technique. So I'm going to share this over onto my Facebook page. I do want to let you know next week's live, I'm going to start on my Facebook page and share it here because I want to try something out with that video next week. So I am now being able to see all of this on my iPad. So we're going to hopefully not give you a close view of my face. I'm going to duck out of here so you're not having to see all that. But I want to be able to see your comments and stuff throughout the morning. So if you're not familiar with the Bokeh Technique, I'm going to share that with you. I did not do my printout this morning of my host code, but it is up above in the description of this video, so you can get it there. And I'm really not sure how I'm going to handle the orders that are placed today because it's really difficult I can send some card stock and stuff like that, but unless you don't have inks and stuff like that, it's really hard to replicate the, not necessarily. You probably could do it in a different way, and we probably could touch on that during this broadcast. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Lori. Hi, Barb. Hello, everyone that's joining. Hi, Karen and Jane, and hi, Terry. I'm so excited that you're all here this morning. So we're just honestly going to get right to crafting. Now, the concept of the Bokeh Technique is you have to do kind of like a watercolor wash. The recommended paper is either the shimmer white, which is what I'm using today because I didn't want the rough surface of watercolor paper, or you can use watercolor paper as well. Two best options for paper to use for this technique because your paper is not going to pill when it gets saturated with the water that you have to put on there first. I am going to show you that part of it, but it does have to dry overnight. So I have plenty that I did yesterday and the day before that we can work with, and I can share the next step with you so that you know how to do the entire process. So I'm so excited. So I'm going to point you down to my work surface. I have a lot of stuff all over the place. I'm still drinking my breakfast shake, so hopefully I get that down before it's like room temperature. But anyway, just thanks for being here. So I hope you enjoy this presentation and that you try this technique as well. And if you decide to try it, share it here on my group in a post or in the news feed of this, just in the comments of this video itself, because I would love to see you try it and see all the colors that you decide to use for this technique. So here we go. I'm going to flip the camera. There's no squirrels out there right now to look at, so I'm going to cover the lens. They usually join me and I get very frustrated because they have a way to get into my eaves and we have to find a way. I think I need to get an exterminator or some way to get that fixed. Part of our soffit fell off last year and birds created nests up there too. So I'm afraid that I might be late on getting that fixed because I think the birds are making their way back in there again this year. So, all right. So I don't even have any sneak peeks laid out for you guys this morning. So let me just share what that technique looks like. I have a couple of samples here that I did make. All right, this is the technique. This is not a finished card. We're going to do that. Do you see all the variations of color and these circles that have the Whisper White pigment ink that I use. So I'm going to show you how to do this step by step, okay? These are some samples I created. Now, when you create that background, you do not want to cover it up with a whole lot of other stuff and other layers, because that really makes the card. So I took one of the products, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it creates this big floral image, and I know I have it out. I'll just have to share it when I get to that point. And it creates two banners with the flowers around it. Well, I cut those banners out and I stamped the sentiment, which is from that stamp set that coordinates with that die. But I just thought adding a few pearls that I colored with coordinating colors and stamping in a coordinating ink. So I am using a lot of the inks that are getting ready to retire, because I'm very sad they're leaving. So I used Pretty Peacock for the sentiment. I colored Pretty Peacock, Rococo Rose, and Seaside Spray on my pearls. And in here, along with those colors, those three colors, I added So Saffron, just to give it a pop of yellow tone within this. So, and then just adding the sentiment, I curved it with my bone folder in the center and on each end in the opposite direction. And then I put 2 dimensionals to pop that off, so it gives it a little dimension. And then of course just added a piece of basic white to the inside of that card. Here's another one that I created using that awesome Happy Birthday from the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set, which I can't wait to work with. This is in my favorite new in color, Magenta Madness and Highland Heather. Love, love, love Highland Heather. So I took the Highland Heather. There's also, so it kind of fades out and gives you kind of that purple posy look, mixing these colors. I didn't variegate the bokeh, the white, which you really should. So I'm still learning, because the bigger circles should be lighter and the circles as they get smaller should be darker in the pigment color. So they kind of blend it all together, but I really, really, really love this. So the Happy Birthday is stamped in Highland Heather. Love that color. And then I stamped a shadow, second generation, so it looks like it's actual purple posy back there. So it gives it that kind of effect. And of course I stamped using those splotch. It's actually supposed to be chocolate chips or something in the ice cream cone. I used that just to add some of that Magenta Madness, because I just thought it was great for a pop of color, and added those playful patterns, those elements that coordinate with the playful pattern suite in the purple posy. So nice little birthday card. And of course there's some basic white on the inside too. Really simple layouts. And then I thought, you know what, you could probably step this up a little bit without taking away from the entire card, so, or the effect of this. So what I did is I took one of my stitched rectangles, I cut out the center, I popped up this portion on the around this side, around the sides to give it a little dimension. I adhered this just with Tombow to the middle on the inside, so it kind of has a lift, kind of like a frame. I stamped on purple posy with Highland Heather, colored the dragonfly, filled it in with some, I don't know if you can see it, that wonderful Winka Stella, did the little swirly bits from the, all these things are laid out, so I'll have to, so it's a Dragonfly Garden is the dragonfly stamp with the coordinating punch, and the Garden Wishes has that little swish right there for the bees and the dragonflies. So that's like one big huge suite. But you can buy those products separate. And of course I use the Artisan. I think I got a hair stuck under there. Never fails. The Artisan, actually it's one of the tones behind it. The Artisan sequence, adhesive back sequence, just to add in the yellow tone. I think it's actually Mango Melody, just to add a little bit of bling to it, and just added again a piece of basic white to the inside to write your sentiment. A little note also comes from, so I mixed and matched products during this presentation. That comes from a stamp set that I have not used that we got free at On Stage. So that is the stamp set that I used a little note from, and of course my very favorite, classic label punch. I punched that out and just adhered it to the top of that layer on the inside. So just put that down with a few glue dots and gave that wings a little bit of dimension, and there you go. So we are going to play with this, and I'm so super excited. But just know, when you are playing with this, you definitely, there's my shimmer white with all the scraps inside. So we're going to cut a piece of that. And actually, I think I've already cut a piece, but I want to cut another piece because I'm going to show you two different ways. So let's grab another sheet. I'll actually just cut two pieces from that. I'll set this aside. Grab our paper trimmer. So there's a lot of product, not a lot of product, but you do definitely need several of your re-inkers. And if you don't have re-inkers, I'm pretty sure there's probably another way that you can pull up that ink from an ink pad, just by, and I'll share that with you. I'll give you some tips and tricks, hopefully. So I literally am cutting this, quartering that sheet of shimmer white. You can see on shimmer white, hopefully in the light in here, that there is a little bit of a shimmer, kind of a glittery look here. It's just got a different hue to the paper. There definitely is no pilling when you're using watercolor techniques with this paper as well. We're going to keep two sheets of this. Keep our trimmer handy so we can cut those down. So when you quarter a piece of paper, you actually come up with a piece of paper that is 5.5 by 4 1/4. So I want two pieces like that. We all get these handy little 12 by 12 cardboard pieces that come in our designer series paper, especially like if it's the glimmer paper, well, yes, glimmer paper, or your foil papers, and I believe your window sheets, which is what we're going to make a template out of. You make your template out of a window sheet. Really simple to do, with to be able to do that white bokeh effect on top of that. So what I do need is, you can either use painter's tape, or you can use all those fun rolls of leftover washi tape that are now retired, and you are going to tape this. Of course, I'm only doing like maybe 1/8 of an inch under there because I don't want to cover too much of the paper, because I want to be able to trim this down for a card front. And you literally are going to tape down each side. And of course, you're going to wet the heck out of this. And my thought process is to make one that's masculine. Not that the colors I chose yesterday and the day prior aren't something you can use as masculine colors, because you certainly can. However, I'm going to get these out of the way so I don't ruin them. You definitely want to... I lost my train of thought. So I wanted to use neutrals and make like a camouflage look to this. So things that you need to have on hand, you definitely, if you don't have the water painters, excuse me, you can use a regular paintbrush. So don't feel like you need to have these, but these are a great purchase. You get all three. They're remarkable. I love them for these kind of techniques. So I'm actually going to, I want to reserve the water in here because I know I'm going to run out with the technique. So I'm going to take the second to the largest. So we have different tips. You have this tip. I'll just take these caps off. You have that tip, and you have a thinner tip for when you're doing watercoloring, okay? So this one I'll set aside. I'm not going to use very often today, but I am going to saturate this paper. Now, the colors I'm choosing for the camouflage look are Early Espresso, Sahara Sand, Mossy Meadow, and Crumb Cake. Those are the ink refills that I am using for that. And then we're going to do another one that matches the colors on my shirt, because I thought it was like very exciting. And that is Granny Apple Green and Bermuda Bay. So we're going to see what that turns out to look like. I'm pretty excited to try that. So these you can buy in any craft supply store. I think I may have purchased these either at Walmart, or I may have even gotten them on Hobby or Amazon, and it came in like a 3 or 5 pack, really inexpensive, but it's so you can put your ink in there, your little droplets of ink, And definitely, like I said, you want to have a roll of paper towels with you. You don't need but maybe 3 or 4 drops of each. You want to kind of remember where you're placing your inks. So I want to make sure that I know what color is where. So I put Early Espresso there. I'm going to put Mossy Meadow next to it. Just a few drops. You don't need to go crazy. And we'll do Sahara Sand in the one next to that. And I will do the crumb cake right there. So hopefully I'll remember what sequence I got these in. Now I want to add a little bit of water into these. So you're just squeezing your water painter like so. Okay, I've added that in. Now be careful you don't spill all of this. Take your water painter and you are generously going to add water to this. Just drop water on, spread it around. It may soak into the paper some, and you may need to re-wet certain areas. I know that I've seen Erica Serwin from Pink Buckaroo Designs do this technique with the watercolor background. I don't know if I've ever watched her do the Bokeh technique. However, it's okay. I'll get the name of that person so that you have it. I unfortunately forgot to note that. So this is pretty wet. We got it pretty wet. Now what I'm going to do, I want to start out, and you're going to be amazed. I'm just going to start out with some Early Espresso and just drop that on there in certain spots. If it's not moving around the way you want it, like how freaking cool is that, right? Excuse my... So that kind of just spreads where the water is pooled. I'm going to grab some Mossy Meadow and drop that in there too. I just love this. It is so cool. Super cool. Yeah, the dollar store, that's probably a great idea to where to find those. Thanks for sharing, Melissa. So you have that. Let's come in. We're going to just kind of wipe off some of it. It doesn't matter if you're mixing these up some, but you definitely want the lights to stay light. So I'm just going to squeeze some of that water out of there and grab some of the Sahara Sand and drop a little of that in certain places. Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this. When you start doing this, you will not want to stop. Honestly, I think I did like 10 or probably about 10 different, I'm probably exaggerating. There's maybe 8 or 9 that I did the other day. I'm going to grab some of the crumb cake and come in here. And if you find that it's too dark in areas, just come in and lift some of that color up like so. Like maybe it's too dark over there. Let's come in with some more of that over there. Some of these lighter colors, you can really tell the hue of the color that is in them when you start to use them. Like, Sahara Sand has like a green hue to it. It's really cool when it spreads out like this. I want to come in again with a little bit more. And if you have to, squeeze that. If there's not enough water there, that's too much, definitely. So come in and dab that with your paper towel because you don't want it too dark. Now, it does dry lighter, just so you know. Let's come in again with, I don't know, I just really like to have, I'm splattering, so it's a good thing it's watercolor ink because it's not going to hurt your clothes if it splatters. So it's easy cleanup because it's watercolor. Comes up with soap and water. I think I want to add a little bit more green down there and up here. Let that spread a little bit. And then wherever you see white space, just kind of come in and add a little bit. Unless you want that look, that's okay to have that look because you're going to be trimming the sides of that anyway. And I'm just kind of moving color around now to cover up that section. Now this is a little bit of harsh color right here, so I'm going to lift some of that up. It kind of pooled on me. And some of that. Now obviously I'm not going to directly stamp on this piece of paper. Here's another tip. Let me get rid of that so I'm not getting ink everywhere. Another tip. So I'm going to leave that as is. This is going to need to dry for about 24 hours. You can heat set it. It doesn't necessarily have to dry that long. You just need to let it dry, okay? So we have used those inks. I'm going to set that aside. I'm not going to wash it because I still have 2 compartments for my other color. Come in with some table salt. You're wondering, why would you do that? Just scatter that salt around. It literally is going to leave an amazing look after it's dried. So you see that, like the salt is all on there. It's like when you put salt outside during the winter on the ice. It kind of draws that ice away, right? So this kind of leaves, and I'll show you because I have a finished one of the camouflage that I'm going to show you. It just pulls some of that color off and leaves like a really cool marking where that salt has landed. So I need to go actually set this into the other room, so I'll be right back. And I am going to grab another, clean off my stuff here. I'm going to make another one that matches the colors of my shirt. So actually, as close as can be. I want to get some of this water out of here and clean the tip of this because I don't want to mix that mossy meadow in there. Okay, so I have that. And let's get another board. We'll grab another piece of paper. Thanks, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this. It's so super simple. And now after you get to the point of where everything's dry, I'm going to show you the next step. Super easy. Okay, so I need my washi tape wherever I stuck that. And again, I'm going to frame the 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of shimmer white to the base of my cardboard. I really hope you guys all try this too. It's pretty cool. All right, so we got that all taped down, which is super necessary so your paper's not moving around on you. We are going to add some Bermuda Bay into our palette. So shake that up a little bit, add some Bermuda Bay. Another thing I wanted to share with you, it's so important when you are buying ink colors, okay, with like ink pads, to automatically program yourself, and this is Granny Apple Green, program yourself to buy the re-inkers. First of all, the sadness is if any of these colors go away, such as the in colors, the 2019-2021 in colors are going to be leaving us soon. And the last thing you want to do is miss out on having those refills, because when your ink pads dry out, now granted the life of an ink pad I find is like so amazing from Stampin' Up, but when those ink pads dry out, you need to have those refills so that you can keep re-inking your pad and using that color. So remember that, and that's why I have, it's the first thing I do. Like when I order an ink pad, I make sure I purchase that re-inker so I have it. Any of you that may have the 2019-2021 in colors, definitely want to get those ink refills because I've already noticed things going back ordered. And I don't even know if they're not orderable at this point because I'm not sure how much they're going to get back into the warehouse. But anyway, let's soak up our paper. I got carried away with myself talking about that. But yeah, you definitely don't want to miss out on having your coordinating products and your re-inkers if you love a color. So I think we have plenty of water on there. Just give it a couple more squirts. Definitely a lot of water. You definitely need it so that ink does what you want it to do when you drop it on there. We'll add a little bit of water into here, which I forgot to do. It just kind of dilutes it a little bit. And we're going to come in with, oh, this is going to turn out great. I have a feeling. Oh my gosh. It's just so awesome. Just, I don't know. It's very, very, I think Barb just said very intriguing. And it is. It's like, I don't know. I can't even explain how mesmerized I am with this technique. So grab some of that Granny Apple Green. Oh my gosh. Talk about spring forward. That's a little dark. Let's pull some of that color up. And I think what I need to do when I drop that color is add some water. Oh, wow. Yeah. Let's come in with some more of that. And maybe I don't want to cover it completely because there is some white in my shirt as well. How funny is that? Come in here and drop some there. Oh, yeah. I think I might leave some white just to keep it a little. But then that when you do the bokeh part of the white, maybe that won't be a good idea. So yeah, let's cover that. Let me get some of that up here. We'll get some more of the granny apple and drop that in here where that white is. And you can see like there's yellow tones obviously in this granny apple green. And it kind of pops it a little bit. Just clean your brush. Continue to clean your brush. Squeeze it. Squeeze some of that water out so it cleans your brush. Pick up more of that Bermuda Bay and kind of drop it in areas that might still have some white there. I don't know. It looks halfway decent to me. It almost looks like blue camouflage. You know, the turquoise camouflage. I actually have some of that decor in my vehicle, but all right, so I'm going to pull some of this up. I'm going to add some of that salt, just some table salt. It probably would look really amazing. It looks like the earth. How cool is that? It really does. That's super cool. Okay. All right, so now add some of that table salt. Give it a little bit of texture. And we are all set with that one. How cool. Isn't that beautiful? It does look like the earth, doesn't it? This would make a great background for that World of Good product suite in the annual catalog. So I'm going to go set this aside, and then we're going to work with the a couple of the designs I created yesterday. Oh yeah, loving that. So exciting. So you literally are all done with your palette. I'm going to set this aside, or your ink palette, your watercolor marker, or your water painters. I'm just going to put those back in my little bowl or my cup. I am going to remove this from my work area because I know me. It will be all over me. So now I'm going to have a seat and we are going to play with the fun stuff here. So this is the one that I worked on. I'm all crooked here. Hang on a second. Sorry if you were watching me crooked. I keep doing that to you guys every week. So this is the camouflage one that I did yesterday. Came out really cool. There are still granules of salt on there, but I'm going to show you just with a paintbrush, just a random paintbrush from an art supply store, craft store, Walmart, whatever. You can see there's still some salt on there, that graininess. So I'm just going to come in and sweep some of that off. If it doesn't come off very well, grab yourself a paper towel and just kind of wipe it off. Yeah, it's pretty dried on and stuck there. So let's grab a towel. And I'm just going to wipe that off, and I'm going to show you what those specks of salt actually did. Like you can see here the different specks of where that salt was kind of lifting color. Hopefully you can see that okay. Like right there especially, sorry I hit the camera, and right here. It's really, really cool the effects of what that salt does. Like those little specks there definitely were from the salt. So really cool. All right, so now I have salt all over my work area. That's okay. I'm going to set that cardboard aside. You definitely can reuse it. All it has to do is dry. So now we have this as our background paper, our designer series paper. So I've already gone and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this. So let me grab a piece of cardstock that has some color. If you can see that okay. I've already made a template with the layering circles. You can see that okay, of 4 different circles that in different sizes. Now you can use hearts, you can use stars, you can use any shapes you may have on hand, as long as you have multiple of the same shape in different sizes, okay? Then you need to come in, you definitely need some more of your washi tape and or painter's tape. And I keep setting that down and not knowing where I'm putting it. So I might actually, if you see it, give me a shout out. I probably should drink some of my shake. Let me grab another roll. Oh, I found it. Okay. thought I was done with it, but I'm not. Okay, so grab your silicone mat. You definitely need that because you want this paper to stay where it needs to. Add a little bit of your seal adhesive, just your regular seal, so that can be tacked down to your silicone mat because you don't want that paper to move when you're doing this next technique. Do you guys see that there is a little bit of shimmer in there? You can see the shimmer white paper. It's really cool. Okay, so I want to lay this on here. Now I'm going to do the bigger circles first. The bigger circles, again, should be the lightest circles. That's where I'm struggling, so I guess I need to pay mind as to how I'm doing this. You need, and hopefully that'll fit on my finger because I have a Band-Aid on. My husband said to me the other day, if you don't stop chewing your fingers, you need to go back and get your nails done. So I may be calling this salon. I was really trying to save some money to get some things paid off, but when you chew your fingers down to the point where they bleed, yeah, it's time to reconsider the thought process in your head. So I may be getting my nails done again once they get healed. It's really bad. I'm really bad with, and it's not even my fingernails, it's the skin around them. It's just a bad habit. But when I have acrylics on, I don't do that. It's like really weird. It's all in my head, I think, but maybe I do it subconsciously so I can go back and get my nails done. But anyway, I just want to go to my craft room and try it. Oh, I know, Rachel, and it's like evening for you, so you might just have to stay up a little later. You're joining us from Australia. Thank you so much for being here. So you literally, and I'm going to try and do these bigger circles lighter. You just go in with that craft ink, the white pigment ink, and just add a white circle. You're just sponging that on. Now remember, this craft, I keep wanting to say craft ink, it dries, takes longer to dry, so you may need to come in with your heat tool to heat set that. So, but I just want to give you a feel of how to use this. See, lighter shades. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. This would even be cute with like, I don't even know. I'm like so excited. It's okay to also overlap them, you know, as the color gets a little bit darker with the smaller circles, you can start to overlap these circles or whatever shape you decide. So I'm doing 3 of those. Let's move on to the second to the largest circle that I used here and add some of those. And now we can get a little bit darker. Just come in with a little more ink, or rub it just a little bit more to add some of that. And you're not really taking away, see how now that's a little bit deeper in color than the others? Hopefully you're seeing that okay. You're not really taking away from the effects of the paper. You are adding to it, if that makes sense. It's just kind of subtling some of those deeper colors. And I don't want to go too crazy because I really love the, oh my, it's just so beautiful. Okay, so the concept of bokeh lighting in photography, if you've ever seen a photo of like, especially Christmas time or school photos where they have the lights that are dulled, it's like seeing a Christmas light in a photo that actually has a hue around it. It's a softer light. So multiple of those. I'll try and find a picture of a photography concept so that you can compare and see what I'm talking about. I think I need to learn how to do that with photography as well. It's not something I learned when I was taking my classes. I want to add another half of one of the smaller ones. Careful when you're taping this down on your inked spot. Right here, and then I'm going to move to the even smaller circles. But it just kind of gives that softening to the light. So it's softening the backdrop in a sense. I think I'm just going to start coming in with, I think we'll use this one. I don't think I'm going to use the very smallest because the very smallest is actually going to be your dauber. So come in here and we're going to do even darker here. I just re-inked this, so that might be why this is turning out a little bit better than a previous one where you can see the variation in the color. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna pop that down here. Just keep making sure your tape that you're taping this down with is holding that. But how super cool is this, and how super simple? It's so easy. I'm just floored that someone like myself can do something like this. And I think I want to add one more of those up here in this corner, and then we're just going to come in full on with just the dauber. But you definitely can do it in any shape that you have available. It's super cool. So this really is what I'm showing you today. And then we'll make a few cards using some of the leftovers from, or some of the sheets I made yesterday. And then now that I have that effect, like super cool already, right? You can come in and straight up ink your dauber and just add darker hues of that color. And it just kind of adds that's not dark enough. I'm going to put one more over here. I think I'll put it right there. And there you go. There is the bokeh effect. Okay. Now you can do the entire thing, but the concept is just to lighten. As you can see on this one, of course, it doesn't have the variated shades of ink. And then you can come in even with your heat tool to heat set this. So we will do that because I want to finish this as a card because I think it would be really awesome. And I may very well be incorporating a retired product, a retired stamp set that is still in the annual catalog. So, but it's in the holiday section. So I think it may have retired when the holiday catalog retired, but no big deal. So now you get the concept of how to do that bokeh. We have another one. We'll do this one. This is one that has Magenta Madness and I think it's So Saffron on it. And maybe, I think those were the only two colors I used on that. Look how that salt left that speckle of stuff there. So let's play with that. And I don't think I showed you this one. This has Rococo Rose and the Seaside Spray. So that's another one we can go ahead and play with. So we have this, we're gonna set that aside. I do wanna use that in one of the cards we make today. This easily cleans off, it's watercolor. It's easily gonna clean off of my mat. So you just take a wet wipe or soap and water, or even just, you know, some water and wipe that clean. Let's add some adhesive to the back of that. And we're going to add that to this, and we're just going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab some of the ink and just go to town. Magenta Madness and So Saffron and salt on this one. Don't want it too deep for the first circles. Just a hint of lighter color. Don't want to take away from all of the background here. Oops, looks like I went too far. Or else that's part of it, not sure. Grab some more ink, softly come in. You can start around the edges and then just work your way to the middle. And move that color again down here. Can't see that one very well, but that's okay, because you're just wanting to soften those areas. Hopefully you guys are seeing me okay. Next one. We're going to go a little bit darker with this one. We'll connect that. These, it's okay. Like I said, it's okay if you overlap. Your dauber will get completely worn out. Don't fret. They're cheap and inexpensive to purchase more. So I actually threw one out yesterday after playing around with this because it was all beat up. But I just want to see if this is a little bit darker than the, oh yeah. And that's the concept. You just want to go a little bit darker with each shape. So are you guys liking this? Thank you. This is so cool. Yes, definitely try it, Peggy, because it's so simple. Cheryl, do you have to have the craft pigment or would regular ink work? I'm not sure. I think that that would be a test you would have to try, maybe a very faint color, like maybe using petal pink or a soft sea foam or something like that. I'm not sure. I've never tried it. I would have to see if other people have tried it by doing some research. But yeah, I really am not too sure about that. Play around with it. I'm sure you have a ton of options. If you can figure out if that works, just let us all know here, because I would love to try that as well. So there's that. If any of you are not subscribers to my YouTube channel, I would love it if you would go over there and subscribe. My numbers are increasing, but I can't go live over on YouTube until I have 1,000 subscribers, and I think I'm at 304, which is pretty good for just starting out doing videos and posting stuff over there. So if you can kind of share my YouTube videos with your friends and kind of encourage them to subscribe, that would be so wonderful. I would totally appreciate that. There's a lot of things that YouTube will allow me to do if I reach a certain number of subscribers. And you can literally search Mary Jo Snyder, MJ Shady Inkers on YouTube, and you will find my channel. So, all right. So there's that. I'm going to, I think, just come in and add just some dots with the dauber. I need to go in a different spot, I guess. Get some ink that I haven't tried to pull from here. And I think with the different colors, it really depends on how much this pops. Like with the camouflage and the deeper tones, you definitely can see that variegated color with when you're adding the dauber ink. Just add one down there, make it a little bit darker there. And there you go. So there you have that one. Pretty super simple. So I'm not going to bother doing this one because you get the concept at this point. Let's try and make a few cards. And it does kind of pick up some of that ink on your dauber, but it doesn't transfer it anywhere or to your ink pad. So we're good there. We got that going on. This just wipes clean, just like the rest of it. I had a whole vision for this piece of paper. So I am going to grab of course, my favorite Magenta Madness, but I think I actually want it cut in a different way. No, we're gonna keep it this way because I think I can, the sentiment I want to use will totally fit there. So, but I don't want to cover too much of what I got going on in that paper. So it's going to be a little challenging. You can stamp. Now I need to heat set this so I'm not smearing my ink. So let me grab my heat tool and plug this in real quick and just give this a little bit of some heat to dry that pigment ink out. Pigment ink takes a little bit longer to dry. So I'm just going to come in and kind of heat set that a little bit. Okay, so I won't put this away too far in case my camouflage one is not dry yet, because we'll use that next. Okay, so I have your piece of cardstock for your card base is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we're gonna go ahead and fold that. At least I hope that's the size it is. Nope, I think I need to trim it. It's actually not the right size. I thought it looked a little big. So let me trim that down about 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. It's a little bit longer than I anticipated. Must be I cut layers from it instead of a card base. Okay. So here's a question for you. If you are seeing my video, did all of you receive notifications this morning? Hi, Sharon. Hi, Bonnie. Hi Gail. Hi everyone that has joined in. Did you get notifications? There has been issues with notifications and people receiving them, and it's kind of a little frustrating. I had somebody leave my group, and we're going to trim this down, and was going to rejoin in hopes that she would get the notifications in the morning. So I'm wondering, I haven't seen her jump on here, but maybe she's over on my page instead. But I'd be really interested to know. Okay. Karen got notifications. Lori didn't. Lori, I know when you go live, I have my settings set for notifications for highlights. I don't have it set for every post. I don't believe, but I wonder if you did that, like check your notification settings for highlights or for, I don't want to go too far in here. I need to cut this. Okay, I'm trying to cut this down a little bit off of each side so it ends up measuring 4 by 5 1/4. So that's what I'm doing here. Just check those notification settings. I'm not sure what Facebook is doing, if they did something where people had to, or if, you know, maybe devices updated and it messed up things. I don't know, but every day with Facebook is a little bit different. So check your settings, see where you're at. I think I also want to cut a piece of either Daffodil Delight or So Saffron to border that a little bit. So let me grab a piece of that. I think I'll go with, let's see, So Saffron, because that's the color I use. Let me just grab a piece of that. Last week I was in the process of telling you guys that we went to Home Depot and bought 2 shelves for my, all those scrap bins that I did for all of my colored cardstock. And how funny, we found some that coordinated perfectly with the paint on the walls. We just have to install them, and that might take a minute, but I'm super excited that I'll have shelves behind me so all those can be neatly stacked on those shelves. So since I cut my Bokeh piece, and remember there's adhesive on the back of that, down to 5 1/4 by 4, I want my layer underneath to be 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. It's just going to give it a smidge of a border. And I'm going to adhere these together, grab my Tombow. Now you are going to notice that because this has got saturated with water, it is a little warped and stuff. Use your Tombow. It gives you better control over how that is going to adhere to your layers. So add your Tombow and layer these pieces together. And I think that's just going to give it an added pop. And I'm going to hold this up so I know I got it positioned where I want it. And then just kind of, I don't want to mess with it too much with my bone folder because I think some of that ink is still a little wet. But then we're going to layer that on here, but I'm going to layer it with, I think I want to layer it with dimensionals, and I also want a piece of the Magenta Madness ribbon that coordinates with the colors. I thought about using Bumblebee ink, but I didn't want, like, Bumblebee has a different bit of a hue to it. It kind of has a brown undertone to me. So I didn't want to use that. I wanted something more bright and kind of like sunshine. So what I want to do is wrap this around. I don't want to take too much away from the design of the bokeh on the paper. I want to wrap this around and kind of tie it off to the left of this. And tie it in a bow. So we have just a little pop of embellishment, and added magenta because it is like my favorite in color from the 2020-2022 color family. And let's see, tie that in a bow. It's not perfect, just get it down to the size you want it. I want a little bit of overhang there. I'm just gonna trim this and trim that down just a little bit more. So I have that, that's already on there, and I can, actually I think I like it better facing that way. So I'm gonna add this to my card front, but I'm gonna use dimensionals. So I really don't have a plan with what I'm doing with these cards, I'm just creating. Because it really is, you know, what's the paper, how do you feel when you're looking at it after it's designed? I am going to use quite a few of dimensionals, so sorry about that. That's me, that's how I roll. I'm not sure if you can iron it, maybe on a low temperature, probably, obviously with no steam. But you probably could iron it out in between like a towel or something. I'm not sure. I found that just layering it on with the Tombow, that it didn't really come up after that because you have more of a coverage with the adhesive. So, all right, we'll get that out of the way. I want to come here, because of the way my ribbon is laying, I just want to come in and lay that to, the bow is to the right. Before I get that all stuck down and not able to move, let's get that where I need it. So there's a smidge of the card base border, like so. And then I thought the perfect sentiment for this would be "You Are My Sunshine" from Rhonda Wade's $1 Million designed stamp set. Do you know this stamp set? If you're not familiar with Rhonda, this stamp set, actually, the font in it was designed by Sarah Douglas's husband, Sean. So that was really cool. This is going to cover part of this, unfortunately, but I really like the sentiment for this card specifically. I think it's just really beautiful. Adds a lot of, you know, it's just very cheerful, very joyful. So I want to actually stamp that in my magenta on a piece of scrap white. You can punch it, or you can stamp it on the shimmer white, and maybe I'll do that because that will give it that shimmery look. I got stuff everywhere and I still don't want to spill that ink that's over on the other side. So let me grab a piece of scrap shimmer white. I have a lot of that going on. One that's going to be kind of ideal sized, that I can still cut out the sentiment. I think that'll be good. Okay, we'll stamp that in shimmer white in magenta ink. Absolutely, I agree with you, Julie. Playing is how we learn. There's so much that we can, I just want to test this. I know I have two sides of the paper, but I want to make sure there's enough ink on my ink pad. I had to re-ink one of my pads yesterday, the Highland Heather. I tend to use that color a lot, I guess. I wonder why. I'm going to do the other side. I didn't like the way that turned out. Let's go like this so I can see that I have full coverage. And we'll just stamp the other side, no biggie. Leave that set there a minute. And pretty good. So if I'm doing that on the outside, I want to stay with the same tone of white, because you're going to notice that your basic white and your shimmer white are two different tones. So I'm going to carry the same white tone throughout the entire card. So I'm going to cut this down to, and it may already be 4 1/4 or 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to stamp a little something on the inside as well with that same stamp set. And we'll grab the P.S. I Love You. I used to sing "You Are My Sunshine" to the kids when they were little, and I'm also going to grab that other little heart. So we have "P.S. I Love You" and the heart that is in the set. We're going to ink these up and stamp that in the center of the inside of our card, like so. I kind of smudged right there, so I guess that's where my heart's going to go. Cover up that mess. like that. So nice when you can cover up something that you made an error with. So there you go. That's the inside of my card. I'm going to die cut this out with the Stitch So Sweetly dies if it fits. Put that back. And let's see if I can find those. I got stuff layering everywhere that I was playing with yesterday. Nope, those aren't it. Oh, so that one border came from the Border Blooms dies on that one card I showed you with the banners on it. So that's that one. And Stitch So Sweetly, where are you? If I can't find it, I'm going to have to do something different. Bummer. I know they're here. Oh, they're right in front of me. Duh. Some days it's harder than others. And I don't know if it's actually going to fit on there. I might just have to use one of those awesome rectangles. I don't really want to cover up all of my stuff I got going on. It might cut off part of the word. Let me see where that's going to cut. No, it should be okay. So let's use that. I will come in with my mini. I actually didn't have my cutters out, my little baby boss and mini boss or whatever you call it, or my big boss out this morning, your stamp cut and emboss machines, the mini or the regular size, because I wasn't going to do any die cutting. I was going to try and use some of my favorite products that who knows if they're going to retire, because that's coming up soon. So let's add this. I probably should use the magnetic platform on my bigger machine. If you do not have one of those, because Stampin' Up! Is still trying to configure those, grab yourself a Post-it note, and we are going to lay that on here. I am so excited about this. I hope you guys are loving this as much as I am. When you get excited about something, it's like so wow. It's so wow. I have that on the wrong thing. So let's get that down here. We've got our little stitched rectangle, scalloped rectangle from the Stitch So Sweetly dies on there. I'm going to go in at an angle because that's the best way to do that when you are cutting something that has a straight edge. I guess I need to get these lined up right before I get ahead of myself. Overlap that one, and now it should feed through. There you go. I finally got the hang of this darn thing, of how to layer all my plates so it doesn't give me such a hard time. I don't know if you caught one of my videos where I was like a hot mess. Every time I tried to use it, it wouldn't go through, but that's okay. So you can kind of see faintly that I stamped underneath, but when we lay this down there, you're not going to see that. I hate covering up all that bokeh, but I want to kind of add that sentiment to this because it just makes so much sense. Get those out of the way. Come back in with all the pieces that I need. And this, I could pop this up. I think I am going to, as long as I can't see that mistake on the back side. But actually, yeah, I think I am going to pop it up and hope for the best. Just add a few dimensionals here. Two sides of the paper are such a blessing, but it's bad if you can see your mistake through the other side. You shouldn't be able to, because this paper is a little bit different texture than the basic white. But let's see what happens. I'm really not wanting to cover that bokeh up. See what I mean? Like, you design that paper and you really don't want to cover it up. You definitely can stamp on your background. I did not try that. The lady stamped before she did her Bokeh Technique, and she actually did some of the bokeh, the white, you know, circles over the background and the word, and it really made it look pretty. So I'll be sure to share the link to her video. I was very impressed by her. And I'm very impressed that I can even do something that intimidated me so much. So there you go. You are my sunshine. P.S. I love you. Wonderful sentiments, Rhonda Wade. Thank you so much. I love your stamp set. So if you guys don't have that, it's definitely a very uplifting set. So there's that card. We can add some embellishments if you want to do that. I'm going to leave it as is for now and move on to the next card. I think I have to do some heat embossing to this one. That is now stuck to the wrong color paper. Or just hit it with the heat tool so that I can kind of dry that pigment ink a little bit. And then we will be good to go. So just come in. Definitely don't like go overboard because you don't want to burn your paper. Just keep testing it and make sure that it's dry. And of course, setting the heat tool on it might make the paper warp a little bit more. So I think that's sufficient for what we want to do with it. Stepping on stuff. Okay, I'm going to take a drink of my breakfast that's sitting here. Thank you, you guys. I'm so excited that you're loving this. So I'm a little not sure what I want to do with this one though, because I'm using a stamp set and I actually was debating. I was debating on should I incorporate this because yes, it's very earthy. This is very earthy. I thought about this to adding like maybe some of this, the graphics and maybe a sentiment next to it from this, which I could do and I probably should do. But, and I thought about garden wishes as well. But I thought since this is a masculine card and it's camouflage and I don't care if this stamp set is retired, that I would incorporate this deer into happy birthday because it's very, so much my son. So I thought I would, you know, try to make something, actually not just him, there's several hunters in the family. I'm going to actually cut this down. I think I'm going to stick with the same dimensions. So I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch. Hopefully it's enough on each side to cut this down, which I don't think it is. So I may actually need to go a little bit smaller. So let's cut it down to 5 by 3 3/4. So I'm probably cutting off about 1/4 of an inch on each side. So that will give me the opportunity to maybe do additional layers. And you hate cutting any of it away, but you have to make sure when you're taping your paper down to the cardboard that you're leaving yourself just a smidge of a border that's holding that tape down. But that still looks awesome even with those pieces cut off, so no big deal. Let's set this aside, and now maybe I can incorporate 2 colors here. There's a lot of green showing. A lot of the brown tones are a little bit muted because of the bokeh effect. So I need early espresso. I'm going to get these colors out of the way for now because I'm not using those. I put that in the wrong sequence. We'll fix it later. Okay, now I'm all set with this for the time being. I am going to probably make this pop, maybe add early espresso to the back. I'm open to suggestions, so feel free to shout out if you think I should do something a little different. Maybe I could border with this, or I could border with so this, just think of this as a border layering on one of these colors. So maybe I should border actually with the crumb cake and then pop it up on a deeper color. I'm not sure. Give me your suggestions. What do you think? What colors do you think should be the layer underneath? And what color should the card base be? We have crumb cake, mossy meadow, and early espresso. I am coordinating this braided mossy meadow trim or the faux suede, which is early espresso color. So whatever colors you choose, that's going to be the ribbon that I end up using as a coordinating color. While you are deciding, I'm going to leave these laying out here. While you are making that decision, let's do some stamping because I already know what color I'm doing that in. I'm going to, when you don't use stamps for a very long time, they tend to really, really cling to your case. If that happens to you, just come in with your pokey tool or the spatula end of your take your pick tool and lift those up so it's a little bit easier to get those out of there. You definitely don't want to try and rip them because you can rip the foam and ruin your project. So I do know, and I'm hoping to use, oh, you know what would look great on that? That darn moose that retired. Oh, I think that's still in the catalog too. But I think it did retire when Christmas. Okay, so Sharon's saying crumb cake and espresso. Mary's saying mossy and crumb cake. I got 2 votes for mossy and crumb cake. Dark card, mossy under. Mossy and crumb cake. All right, you guys, I see a lot of votes for these 2 colors, so that's what we're going with. Thank you. I am stamping an early espresso. I wish I could use all 3 colors, and I am with the ink. I'm going to hopefully use this punched piece if able. I'm not sure it's going to work for me. Otherwise, I may need to use a circle, which would definitely coordinate with the bokeh effect. So let's just see how we stamp this. I'm going to just stamp on basic white. So let's grab our basic white scraps that are over here. See if I can find one that is, my white scraps are getting a little slim. So let's grab one of these. And I will grab my deer, an early espresso. Maybe I should have done this in a different color too. We'll stamp the deer. Maybe I can add a little bit of color. And let's see how this, I don't think it's gonna fit in this punch. Oh, it does that way. Okay, that'll work. And then I can add some happy birthday on a different, I smeared it. Why'd that happen? All right, let's stamp again. That made me angry. That's not supposed to happen. All right, maybe we'll just set this aside. We're gonna stamp the happy birthday over here in the same color. So we got some early espresso going on. Let those dry. Move these aside. And let's get this. So we need a scrap of Mossy Meadow because I don't want to cut a card base. And I don't think I have a scrap big enough, so let me grab a sheet of Mossy Meadow. And the paper trimmer. So if this is 5 by 3 1/4, we're gonna make the other part of that 5 1/4 by 4. Oh, crumb cake and espresso. You guys got some great ideas. Now I wonder. Maybe I should use all 3. Let's take a look how this looks. Yeah, I think I like it. And then if we add the espresso, see if that, I think I want to go with the faux suede early espresso ribbon. And I just dropped scissors on my toe and cut myself. I'm not gonna swear, I promise, but that really hurt. Bad. Good thing we're almost done. I gotta stamp an emergency. Oh my, terrible. Yes, my ribbon scissors landed right on my toe. Point down. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen to me, friends. Okay. Not to the point of needing like stitches or anything, but oh my gosh, it's just bleeding terrible. I'm just gonna move on. Yesterday I got pulled over driving to the mall. Thank God the gentleman was very nice and didn't give me a ticket. I used it as an educational thing for my daughter who was in the car with me. Like, oh my gosh, seriously? That's because I'm not, I don't have the luck of the Irish, must be near St. Patrick's Day. Sorry. All right, so we have that. We are going to bump this up. Let's grab our ribbon. And, oh my goodness, people. It's literally bleeding all over the floor. It's too much information, I'm sure. I'm sorry. All right, let's make sure that we can get this tied around. I got way too much ribbon here. I love bows tied to the left or right, as you can see lately. Seems to be my go-to trend, and that's okay, right? But it's manly. Maybe I don't want to do that. Let's tie a knot. We'll do something different. We'll tie a knot. And wow, I'm very proud of myself. Call the paramedic in your house. I know, right? I think he's sleeping. Oh, it's okay. It's really okay. I'm honestly, it'll be fine. I can wrap a tissue around it and we'll be good. I think I want to do this. So if you sometimes leave a really loose knot in your ribbon, obviously the ribbon, the end of the ribbon will face a different direction, obviously downward. So I think I'm going to go with that. I think putting a knot in this is a little bit more manly. Probably should put some alcohol on my scissors since I just like slashed myself. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to adhere this with a glue dot right there after I get this to the card base. So I really don't need to lift this up off the card base. So let's go ahead quickly and just add some seal to the back of that. My foot probably looks worse than it really is. I need to make sure I'm doing this the right way. Okay, that folds that way. Okay. The card base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So we've got that. Now we can add our ribbon there. So we're going to add that with a glue dot in a couple of spots so it all stays nicely where I want it. And first place is definitely under the knot itself. So maybe if it's going to stick to that pigment ink, I don't know if it's going to. Okay, so add it to the ribbon and then stick it down. I'm not sure. All right, so we'll add that there, like so. I also want to make sure this stays in a straight line, so I'm going to come over here. I want to trim it a little bit more, just at an angle. Grab another glue dot and put that under that end so it stays still and straight, hopefully. And then grab another glue dot. Hopefully you guys are seeing me okay. And I'm going to tack it down to where I want this to lay as well, just on the end so it's not flailing all over the place, okay? So this should be dry by now. I'm going to go ahead and punch this out with the Everyday Label Punch. This is one punch that I revert to a lot, as well as my classic label punch. I used that in one of the projects I showed you earlier. I love that punch. So that can actually, I don't want to cover up. I didn't want to cover that up. But I can always come in and do another splatter somewhere, right? So I'm going to put this in the center, I think. I could put it down here. I'm going to put it in the center on some dimensionals. And that's the thing, you don't want to cover up the entire background because it's just so beautiful. Like I said, the girl that I watched actually stamped the sentiment right on the paper before doing the bokeh part. Oh, put them upside down. So do this. I am going to add another very sharp dot of a white, so I need to find that. Bear with me a moment. Oh yeah, there's blood everywhere. Oh, I might need stitches. I'm just wrapping my toe up for a moment. Good thing I don't
pass out over the sight of blood, you guys.
Okay, and okay, let's get this done so we can go. All right, so what was I gonna do? Grab that ink and carefully add another kind of dark dots so that, and I'll just let that sit and dry. Hi, Susie. Yes, Sharon, I just did that. I just stepped away to wrap some stuff around. I didn't realize how bad it was bleeding until I just got up to grab a tissue. So, and then we'll add, I think I'll add one more. Actually, I think it's fine just the way it is. I think I'll leave it. Okay. Now the happy birthday, I still have to punch out and use. So I think I'm just going to fussy cut it and just go around it so that it's not going to take up a lot of space. Have you ever done that with your words, with your sentiments? And we will come in and trim this. And just kind of, I don't know if I think I just want to keep kind of a straight edge going. Very straight edge. Snip this and this, and we can add that right down there. I think that would be nice. Let's cut a little bit off by the B in birthday. And should I add some dimensionals? I think I'm just going to leave this popped up, and actually it could go up there, but I think I like it down here better. So I'm just going to add some adhesive to the back of that and just add that there. So there's that. We'll get another piece of 4 inches by 5 1/4 piece of white to go on the inside of the card so that we can write our sentiment on the inside. And there you have it. That is the Bokeh Technique. I still need to make something with that. I totally think that reminds me of the ocean. I think a whale needs to go on that or something. But that is the Bokeh Technique. These are the cards that we made today, and here are the additional ones that I created using that technique. I really hope you enjoyed this technique and that you will try it yourself and share your creations with me. I'm going to flip the camera so that we can say goodbye for today. Just kind of get myself squared away here so that you know I'm still alive besides my voice. Minor injury in the craft room today. If anyone tells you that you can't get injured crafting and that it's really not tough work, you can vouch that it certainly is when you stab yourself with your scissors. If it's going to happen, like I said, it's going to happen to me. So I am so glad that you joined me today, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you decide to place an order, I will have a special gift for you. We used pearls in a couple of these projects. So if you place an order using the host code, I will send you a free pack of the Pearl Basic Jewels. So since I probably can't do I can send you a smidge of paper or something to go with it, but you'll get a pack of Pearl Basic Jewels if you place an order using the hostess code today. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of my Sunday Live with MJs every week. I'm so excited. So next week, remember, I'm going to start my live on my business page and share it to this group. I definitely want to see how that works with notifications. I got to figure out something because I miss having everybody watching my videos. So, all right, blessings to you all. Enjoy your day and the rest of your weekend, and I will see you again soon. Bye.